And we are very fortunate to be joined by Detroit Mercy basketball coach, former IU basketball coach, Mike Davis. Coach, how are you, sir?
I'm great. How you guys doing?
Wonderful. Myself and Dustin Schutte here. Dustin?
How you doing, Coach?
Well.
First of all, just congratulations. Coach just knocked down his 400th win in his career, and I sent out a tweet at the time that these had to be 400 of the toughest wins for a coach to get, and I mean that because of all he had to go through and all that. So congratulations. What a great milestone.
And when you say the toughest, it's definitely the toughest 400 wins, I think, of any coach that in the history of college basketball.
I'm telling you, it's just – I mean, seriously, the position you were put in and to be here now and to hit – I know you don't think of numbers, but when you hit that 400, that's got to feel pretty good.
Well, it feels great. It feels great to know that I've had the longevity to coach this long. I've had some tough jobs, and we figured it out. You know, Texas Southern, UAB, and even here Detroit may be the toughest job I've ever had. From the resources standpoint and just being able to recruit and all that. But it's been great just to get 400. A lot of coaches never get to 400 because they never have an opportunity to coach as long as I've coached.
Dustin?
Yeah, Coach, it's hard to believe you're 23 as a head coach now. I still remember you stalking the Indiana sidelines, and congratulations on number 400. But I'm just curious, over the longevity of your career, that 23 years as a head coach, incredible run. But what have you learned about your different stops and has made you become a better head coach over your time?
Well, like I've always said this, I did everything backwards. I went from Power 5 to low major. And so I'm a mid-major, low major. And normally it's the opposite way. But I've learned patience. I learned I know what big-time basketball is. I've been able to share that with my teams that may not understand big-time basketball. So I think that's been the biggest part of my coaching career, is that I can take what I've learned from Indiana all the way to Texas Southern and Detroit.
You talked about, too, this might be your toughest job considering the resources and recruiting and things like that. I'm curious to know, we're going through a complete transformation, not just in college basketball, but college athletics as a whole. How has things like NIL and the transfer portal, how has that affected your program?
Ask Antoine how NIL has affected things, man. He's one of the top dogs in the deal.
Well, his NIL is about sales. And so it looks good on paper, but, you know, sales is the most important thing for him. And he really hasn't sold a lot of basketball. He had basketballs, chocolate bars, and a dribbling vest. And so, you know, it's hard. If he was at a different school, I would say like a big-time alumni base, they would probably buy it out, you know, especially how he's playing and the things he's doing on the basketball court. But it's really hard, you know, for him to sell things being at this level, I think. But he's working hard at it. He's really working hard at it.
You know, with 400 wins, is there a win that stands out along that way? I know because you have different stops, different schools, so there's different teams and different coaching groups. But is there a win that stands out along the way?
Well, the first win in the Final Four. You know, the win to get to the Final Four and the win in the Final Four was always stand out to you because that's the ultimate win. You know, to be the last 4 teams to play and be the last 2 teams to play. Those 2 wins really stands out to me.
That Duke game, man, I was there for that. And I love every time I have Dane on because I love to remind him of that, the last sequence when he fouls. Who did he foul?
Jason Williams.
Yeah. But anyway, that game down 17 in Rupp Arena. It was just perfect. You're in Rupp Arena, home of the Kentucky Wildcats, playing Duke. I was sitting there. There was some guy behind me that was a Kentucky fan cheering for Indiana, and I'm like, "What in what world am I in, man?" It was just a weird sequence, but that win was amazing. Duke was the reigning national champion. I think they were undefeated. You had Carlos Boozer and that group. and just such an unlikely group of guys to be able to do what you all did with a Tom Coverdale who's limping around, looks like something off of a movie. That's just that game. For me, it stands out. I'll tell you that personally. For one that I was at, that stands out to me as one of the all-time games I've ever been at.
Well, we had a special group. Those guys band together, and I always remember Fife saying he wanted to do something special his last year because he wanted to be remembered at Indiana. And boy, did we do something special. We made it all the way to the championship game.
And Coach, I wanted to ask, you get a unique opportunity to coach your son, and right now he's second in the NCAA and scoring and doing some really good things. What's that opportunity like to be able to coach your son? Is there do you have to find a balance between being head coach and being father, or how do you balance that? And what's the opportunity like to be able to coach him?
Well, it's tough because whenever a father's coaching his son, the name of it is daddy ball. And so people think it's daddy ball, but I've been coaching for 30-something years as a head coach and assistant coach, and I've coached a lot of really good players, but I never coached a player that the defense is just unbelievable the way they guard it. I mean, it's unbelievable. 2-3 guys. Whenever I watch a film of the opposing team before a game, I would just throw it out the window because they're not going to defend him like that. But the most proudest thing I am for him is he has over 500 assists. And
Wow.
people don't even talk about that, even notice that. And he has 500 assists, and he's got a chance to be the all-time lead assist record here at Detroit. I think he may be, if he get to 3,000, he may be the only guy in the history of basketball that has over 3,000 points and 500 or 600 assists to his name. So I think that's really overlooked. But it's difficult coaching because it's, as a father, whenever you have a kid participating in something, you're a little nervous about the situation they're in, and you're always pulling for him. But he's the ultimate team player. He's probably one of the best team guys that you'll be around. And he could go up and jack up a lot of shots. We need him to shoot a lot of shots, but the 500 assists speak for itself.
Well, and a guy that shoots as good as he does, he's going to be playing somewhere next year, but it won't be with you. He won't be around you for the first time and probably his whole life, man. I mean, he could, whether it's, playing in the NBA or overseas, he's going to be somewhere, man. That's going to be a big difference for you.
Going to be a big difference. I don't think the world has ever seen him shoot the way he's really capable of shooting the basketball, just the way the defense really focus on him. When you watch college basketball, especially at the Power 5, they all play really good defense, but they play the basic defense. They in help side. You can't be in help side guarding him. You can't go on the ball screen guarding him. You can't not get the ball out of his hands when he come off a ball screen. So once he leaves here and he goes somewhere else where he's not the best player on the team, he'll get a chance to really shine because of the things that he can do on the basketball court.
Now, once he does move on, and I'm not suggesting you will, but do you have any Pete asked desire to move up to a bigger program, to try to make a run again at Power 5?
Well, I've been asked that question a lot. I also been asked the question of would it be my last year coaching? I love coaching basketball, and when you hear people say good things about you, it makes everything make sense. So sometimes as head coaches, you go through struggles and you feel like you don't have an impact, not on just winning, but on the players. And the young kids these days are different from what the Cal Hornsby and all those guys was when I coached at Indiana. But when you hear good things, you feel good about it. And I want to make an impact here at Detroit if I can. There's a lot of things that need to be changed here, and hopefully we can get it done over the next couple of years. But I just love coaching basketball.
And I was going to ask, that kind of leads into my next question, Coach. Been there a couple years now. What do you really like about this Detroit Mercy team? What do you like about your team right now, now that we're a couple games into this season?
Well, we have our best team we've had here. We have one player that hadn't played yet, and he's really good. He's a first-team all-conference player, I feel. But I made a big mistake in scheduling. We played 2 games in Florida, played Dusty May, former guy who worked with me at Indiana, and it was funny because he said, "Man, we planned a whole week to defend Antoine, a whole week, a full week." So we play those two games. And then we fly back here to Detroit and played Charlotte, won by like 25, I think. And then we flew out the same day to go to Spokane to play Washington State. So we had played 4 games in 7 days, but in 3 different states, and that time change just really hurt us. And during the game, we was walking in mud. It wasn't even a game because we had like a 5-hour flight out to Spokane, 2.5 to Denver, and 2.5 to Spokane from Denver. So it was really tough. But I feel like this is the year that we can win and get to the NCAA tournament.
How much of an impact do you have on making those schedules, those non-conference schedules?
I have a lot, but we couldn't find games. We try to get involved with a lot of games, and everybody kept saying the same thing. We don't want to play you guys. We don't want to bring Antoine in our gym, and he scored 40 points. And, like, well, when we're Detroit, and you're a Power 5, so if Antoine can beat you by himself, there's something wrong. But, that was really hard for us to schedule. So when I jumped on the schedule for the 4 games in 7 days, I wasn't really factoring in the time change. I felt like if we flew out the day that we played, they give us Thursday kind of rest before we get their Wednesday, give us Thursday kind of rest. But the time change really took a lot out of us.
Demezy Anderson, former IU player, up there playing for you now.
He can really shoot the basketball. He's doing well. He hadn't played in 2 years, so he's playing like it took him a while to get going when we first started practicing. And first scrimmage game, he wasn't that good, and went to Boston College. He played really well in Boston College. So he's been up and down, but he has the potential to be good at this level.
Here's a great question. What about a future game or exhibition between Detroit Mercy and Indiana?
Well, I wanted to bring Antoine back home.
Man, they didn't want nothing to do with that, did they?
He was born in Bloomington. I was trying to get into the MTE event that you guys just played with Jackson State and Little Rock, and I'm not sure who the other team was.
Yeah.
But it was the MTE. Yeah, so we tried to get in that, but I think we were just probably a day or two too late to get in it.
Oh man, that would have been incredible. But still, so it's open to maybe Detroit coming into play sometime.
Well, I wanted to bring Antoine. Now,
yeah.
Now,
I don't care.
He was born in Bloomington. He was born in Bloomington. So
that would have been pretty special. That would have been pretty cool.
Yes.
Have you talked to Coach Woody at all? Do you know him?
I know him, but I haven't talked to him. I know him personally. When I was the head coach at Indiana, he came down a couple of times, and I followed his career at the Knicks and now at Indiana.
The current IU team, I think we're ranked in the top 10. They've got a heavy, deep schedule coming up where they play Kansas and Arizona. They play North Carolina tomorrow night. I know that you're busy watching your own team, but man, that's a brutal preseason schedule.
I understand it. Trust me, I've been there before.
I'm sure you don't miss those kind of. I mean, how hard is it to get up to play those kinds of games at this juncture of the season?
It's tough if you don't have a team that's totally bought into what you're preaching and what you're trying to do, and understand their role as a basketball player. But also, it helps you to get better. But sometimes, you have to win those games, especially at that level early, because if not, everyone will be discouraged in the season. And you normally lose a season just by losing those games, just because of the mindset that, the fans and the players will get throughout the course of that. But it should help you get better for the conference tournament.
What's up? Go ahead, Dustin.
Well, I was just going to ask. I know I'm a couple days late on this, but since we didn't get you before Thanksgiving, I'm going to go ahead and ask. I'm a big food guy. What's your favorite Thanksgiving side dish or dessert? What do you enjoy during that holiday break?
Well, I can tell you this. My oldest son has got me on a special diet, cutting out sugar and meat and all that stuff. So I'm kind of vegan right now. But
oh man,
the worst thing that you can do is be a vegan. And the holidays come around.
Yeah, I could imagine.
And never stay in the DoubleTree if you're not trying to eat sweets. You never stay in the DoubleTree. So,
chocolate chip cookies, man.
Man, we stayed in the DoubleTree, and this may be the nicest hotel hostess for giving out chocolate chip cookies I've ever seen in my life. How many you want? How many you want? And so I end up eating turkey and ham, and I think I may have had a dozen of chocolate chip cookies.
Oh man, they're good. You can't pass them up. I love them. Coach Davis, I cannot thank you enough, man. As always, you are always so gracious with us and with your time, and we wish you nothing but the best of luck. We'll be following you this season. We'll catch up and follow Antoine. Hope he lights it up and gets to the top and leads the country in scoring this year.
I tell you, you guys just don't understand how appreciative I am just to be on and still be a part of the Indiana family and still have those conversations. So thank you very much.